Susan is a registered dietitian, busy mom, and owner of A Little Nutrition. She's been helping clients manage their weight and wellness with meal planning for years and has seen all the challenges that people face when it comes to eating healthy, getting healthy meals on the table. She's found solutions to meal planning for the busy professionals to stressed out stay-at-home moms to the novice cook. As a nutrition coach, she helps people find the balance between eating healthy and enjoying life without having to pass on flavor. For more information on Susan, please read the speaker bio section to the left of your screen. So without further ado, I present to you Susan Watson.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am so excited to talk to everybody today about ways to curb your cravings. So it's a great time to be talking about cravings because if you don't know, March is Nutrition Month and we are unlocking the potential of food, and that is the potential of food with fuel. So just as a brief overview, again, welcome. And as mentioned, I'm Susan Watson. I'm a registered dietitian, a meal planning strategist, a lifestyle nutrition coach, and I work with people to help them stay healthy and prevent chronic diseases. So you know you're in the right place if you find yourself always reaching for that favorite snack, knowing that it might affect your blood glucose level. And you know you're in the right place if you're looking for tips to manage your cravings but still enjoy your favorite foods. So today we're going to talk about solutions and strategies to curb your cravings. We're going to go over strategies for staying full, meal planning and meal timing, what to eat and how much, and at the very end we're going to talk about restriction versus permission and how to include treat foods into healthy, balanced eating. So if this sounds good to you, let's get started. My question for you right away is, do you know what the #1 sabotager to sticking to healthy eating is? It's hunger. And, you know, a lot of people don't quite understand how hunger can play a big role in cravings. So what we're going to talk about here is when we're hungry, it forces us to use willpower to make healthy food and lifestyle choices. However, willpower is not a great tool for staying on track because eventually it runs out. So when we rely on willpower to make healthy choices, we're often setting ourselves up to fail. We want to set ourselves up actually for success. So when we're making healthy choices, it's actually the easy choice. So how do we do this? Well, we have to make sure that we're not running around living our lives on an empty fuel gauge. Food has the potential to fuel and give us energy, which leads us to making better choices around food and leaves less opportunities for food cravings to sneak in. When we use fullness as our friend by fueling our bodies with energy, we're able to stay in control of our eating and our cravings and move one step closer to our goals. And we can do it without suffering or relying on willpower to make these choices. So if making healthy choices is painful or too much work to sustain or removes all the joy from eating in your life, the likelihood that you're going to stick to this way of eating is very low. So I want to talk to you about the secret of feeling full and ways to reduce the food cravings. So let's talk about some food items first off. So ultra-processed foods and refined food products, they don't make you feel full. And this is because ultra-processed foods are packed with added sugar, salt, and fat, which makes you crave more of these foods and actually never really feel full. So whole foods that have lots of fiber and protein, these are the foods that are going to make you feel full, and I'll be talking a lot about these throughout the presentation. So you want to choose foods that are whole foods, ones that are close to the farm, ones that are minimally processed, and these types of whole foods are what provide lasting fuel to keep you energized and reduce food cravings. So I have some examples here. So all foods happen to have some form of processing, but minimally processed foods would be your fresh fruits and vegetables. And then another form of minimally processed foods is processed culinary ingredients, like ones I've shown here that are like eggs or milk or canned beans, or unprocessed meat, like this salmon here that's just been cut up and packaged. So the next tip I have that I want to share with you is about fullness and making sure that you consume enough protein and fiber together, which will lead to fullness. So these nutrients bind in your stomach and help you feel fuller longer and help turn off those craving signals. So fiber is a type of carbohydrate that is not fully digested and therefore doesn't provide any calories. And a protein is a type of calorie that comes from both plant and animal sources. And it takes longer to digest and process through the body than carbohydrates. Therefore, it helps you stay fuller longer. And a combination of these at a meal is essential. So not all calories are created equal, and certain calories fill us up better than others. And these are the ones that we want to rely on to help us feel full and not have any cravings and stay in control of our food choices. So an example here is whole grain crackers and cheese, or apple slices with peanut butter, or an apple with a hard-boiled egg. When we balance our protein food items with a good source of fiber, you will see this is the key to feeling fuller longer and having less hunger and craving crashes. The next tip that I want to share with you is on meal planning. So my question for those who suffer from food cravings is, do you plan to eat? When you plan your meals, you already know what you're going to eat, and this eliminates the factor of spontaneity and uncertainty. And when you plan your meals, you don't have to think about what to eat, and you're going to be less tempted and less likely to experience cravings. So if possible, plan your meals for the upcoming day or the upcoming week. If you don't know where to get started, I recommend by just starting out by making a master meal list. This is a list of your tried and true favorite meals. Then you can go out and get your calendar, your daytime, or your planner and schedule out these meals. After that, make a grocery list for the ingredients that you need, and then don't forget to schedule a day to go shopping to pick everything up. The next tip we're going to move on to is talking about meal timing and when to eat. So it's best to avoid getting extremely hungry. As mentioned before, hunger is one of the biggest reasons why we experience cravings. So to avoid getting extremely hungry, you may want to eat regularly and have balanced snacks close at hand. So by being prepared and avoiding long periods of hunger, you may be able to prevent a craving altogether. So don't be a meal skipper. You want to make sure that you're eating 3 meals per day, and you don't worry so much about the exact times of these meals. Just make sure they're spaced out throughout the day, and try to eat your meals at regular times, and really never try to go more than 4 to 6 hours between eating. After that 4 to 6 hour mark, your body has used up all the fuel that you've had, and then you're going to be setting yourself up for making some unhealthy choices, basically due out of hunger. So again, eat regular times. This will also help control blood glucose levels. And make sure that you're eating breakfast. Breakfast is going to provide a great start to the day. So I have some examples here of some great simple breakfast ideas. So you can try whole grain toast that's packed with fiber, and then have some scrambled eggs that has lots of protein, and top it off with some orange slices. Or how about a fiber-filled bran muffin with protein-packed cheese and some strawberries? Great breakfast ideas. And then when we take a look at that balance with our snacks, again, trying to have that fiber and that protein together. So by including healthy snacks in between your meals, you'll help keep your energy up and stabilize your blood sugar. So here's some examples of some grapes and cheese, roughly the right amount of portion sizes, or even just veggies and hummus is a great snack, and they're all portable that you can take with you on the go. So what food should you eat and how much? Again, balanced meals are really important to reducing those food cravings. So you want to try to have at least 3 out of the 4 food groups at each meal from Eating Well's Canada's Food Guide. So those are going to be your vegetables and fruit, your grain products, your milk and alternatives, and your meat and alternatives. And you want to make sure that you're eating proper meals. So many people ask me, what is a proper meal? And a proper meal takes a look at this balance that we can see at the slide here where it says plan for healthy eating. You want to take a look at your plate and divide it in half, and half of your plate should be your vegetables, and a quarter of it should be protein, and a quarter of it with your grains and starches as a serving. And if you're having, say, breakfast, and many people don't have vegetables at breakfast, you can have that half of your plate with some fruit. So you can see that this is what a proper meal would be. An improper meal might just be, say, toast with butter for breakfast. You want to get that protein and fiber all together. So then how much do we eat? What is the proper portion sizes that we should have? So it's best to have portion sizes that will help you reach and maintain a healthy body weight. A very common guide that we see often is the handy portion guide. And this will help you estimate your appropriate portion sizes. So for fruits and starches, think about it as a closed fist would be an appropriate serving size of fruit. And vegetables would be as much as you can hold with both of your hands together. And meat and alternatives, the portion size would be the size of your palm and the thickness of your pinky. And fats would be about the tip of your thumb. So you can see with everybody, it would change depending on who you are and your size. We don't want to forget about eating your veggies. So eating more vegetables is really, really important. So veggies are packed with fiber and actually don't have a lot of calories in them. So you're able to feel full on a lot. And they have a lot of nutrients that also help you feel full. So make sure you have your vegetables. You can have a side salad at a meal. And one of the best ways I find getting veggies in a meal is to use a veggie steamer and buy frozen vegetables. The reason why I think that it's a really good option is that a lot of people say that cutting and washing vegetables takes a lot of time and they don't have a lot of time when it comes to meal prep. So when you buy frozen vegetables, they're equally as nutritious as fresh, but they're already cut up and washed, ready for you to just reheat in the steamer. So also they're a great choice. Now, when it comes to our grains, we want to make sure that we're choosing whole grains as often as we can. And I love how whole grains make me feel full and energized throughout the day. And that's because they have a lot of fiber in them. So you want to make sure that you're choosing whole grains more often. You want to choose grains and starches such as whole grain bread, cereals, brown rice, quinoa, or whole wheat noodles for your meals. So starchy foods, they're broken down into glucose, which your body needs for energy. But with whole grains, they have more fiber and they help keep your blood sugar from spiking. So when it comes to fiber, you want to look for food products that have at least 3 to 5 grams of fiber per serving, if not more if you can find them. And then moving on to talking about filling up more on fiber, different options. So foods, again, with fiber have so many benefits, and they're going to make you feel full, lower blood glucose, and cholesterol. So always make sure to think about including foods like this on your plate. So eating more high-fiber foods are going to reduce your cravings. And options like we talked about whole grain breads and cereals, but food items like lentils or dried beans and peas or even canned versions are packed with fiber. Your brown rice, your quinoa, your wild rice, and your fruits and vegetables. Eating more protein may also help reduce appetite and keep you from overeating. It helps reduce cravings by helping you feel full and satisfied longer. So we want to make sure that we're consuming lean sources of protein. So ones that don't have a lot of the marbling or the excess fat on them, or ones that have extra skin. So you want to choose lean sources like fish. We've got different lean meats like chicken and poultry, low-fat cheeses. So when you're looking at a package of cheese, you want to look for ones that say 19% or less. They will say M.F, which is milk fat. And eggs are also a great source of lean protein. And then also all the vegetarian sources of protein like chickpeas and black beans and lentils are also great sources of lean protein that you can include in your meals to help you feel full and satisfied longer, reducing those cravings. The last food item that is really important to think about when it comes to our food cravings is to hydrate with water. A lot of our food cravings are often just being confused with being thirsty. So if you suddenly have an urge for a specific food, try drinking a glass of water and then wait a few minutes. You may find that the craving fades away, and that's because your body was just actually thirsty. And I hear this often from a lot of our clients, that once they started drinking water on a more regular basis, their food cravings actually started to go away. So again, drinking plenty of water has many health benefits and will help reduce those food cravings. So make sure that you're having enough throughout the day. And one of the best ways to do this is to carry a water bottle with you so that you're prompted when you see it to take a drink. So that really covers over what we were talking about when it comes to how much to eat and the recommended portion sizes for managing food cravings and having those balanced meals. But now I want to go and talk a little bit about how we can still have those treat foods and still have a balanced, healthy eating. The first tip I want to talk to you about is renovating your environment. So if you have strong food cravings that you can't get rid of, one of the things we like to recommend is to try to put some distance between you and the food craving. For example, you can go for a brisk walk or shower or do something else to shift your mind. One of my favorite things to do is do a crossword puzzle. So the other thing is that a change in thought or your environment can actually stop the craving. Also, if you see something within your environment that's triggering a food craving, you might want to try to change it up. For example, if you always seem to be struggling with having a sugar craving or a food craving for a sugar-filled coffee on your way home from work when you drive by the coffee shop, one tip would be to change your environment by taking a new route home. Another area that plays a big role in food cravings is stress. And I like to ask people to rate your stress and see how these stresses in your life might be affecting your eating. So stress can often be a trigger for food cravings and can lead to influencing your eating behaviors in a not so positive way. So try to minimize the stress in your environment by planning ahead. Maybe try meditating or take a yoga class. Sometimes just going for a walk and trying to slow down will also help reduce that stress. And by doing so, by reducing your stress, you're going to reduce unwanted eating. Another area to think about is distract yourself. So distracting yourself can be very powerful. Have you ever just eaten supper and then about an hour later you find yourself opening the fridge door, staring, looking for something to eat? How about going to the fridge or the pantry to look for food when you know you should be doing something else? Sometimes we end up having food cravings, but we're really just putting off a task or we're just bored. So if this sounds familiar, the key really is to take a look at your situation and try to distract yourself. So when you find yourself wanting to eat and you're not really hungry, go and do a different activity, like maybe check your email or water your plants or read a chapter in a book or call a friend. The key here is to try to make a list of the different things that you can do to distract yourself, and then maybe put it on the fridge or the pantry door, and when you find yourself reaching to open the door, you can look at this list of things and say, oh yes, I need to go water my plants or go change the load of laundry. Often after we've distracted ourselves, the craving has moved on. So the last tip that I have for you is all about restriction and permission. And this will help you understand how you can include treat foods into healthy, balanced eating. So when we restrict ourselves, we often end up making the food craving worse. The more we restrict, the more we want that food item. And this doesn't set anybody up for a healthy relationship with food. I often tell my clients if they're sitting across from me and I take a pen and I put it in front of them, and if I tell them, no, you can't touch that pen, you're not allowed to. You can look at it, but you're not allowed to touch it. And then I ask them, how are you feeling about that? They will report back, I just want to grab that pen and take it away. And that's because we don't like to be restricted in life. It doesn't feel good, and it actually makes us have the opposite behavior. It makes us want to do it more. So when we restrict ourselves from treat foods, which could be part of balanced eating, we're actually setting ourselves up to want it a little bit more. So you can kind of see how that's a little bit backwards thinking. So one way to really take a look at giving ourselves permission versus restriction is to try the 80-20 rule. So this recommendation comes from one of the strategies from a program called Craving Change, which I took a certification course in. So here's how it works. You don't want to totally avoid any specific food unless it's necessary for medical reason. And you want to give yourself permission to have some flexibility with your eating pattern. You want to be able to make healthy choices 80% of the time and know that it's very acceptable to be at this. And then go ahead and plan a favorite food to eat once a week. This is part of the 80-20 rule that prevents feelings of deprivation, which can lead to these unhealthy and uncontrolled eating. Sometimes I have clients tell me like, oh, well, do I have to? Is it something, if I don't really want to, can I, skip it for this week? And really, that's not the point. We want to give ourselves permission. There's always some food out there that likely you'll want to have, and maybe we're restricting a little bit. And we do prescribe to have this in your eating throughout the week. So try to make sure that you're not depriving yourself and use this 80-20 rule. And when you eat in a less healthy way that you might perceive being less healthy on occasion, don't see it as cheating. That's, again, making us feel bad about our food choices. Instead of feeling it as cheating, I want you to think about it as part of an acceptable eating pattern. So remember, it's okay to give in. And if you've tried all these strategies and they're not working for you and you still have that food craving that's calling you, then it's okay to give in. Just make sure you're being mindful of how much you're consuming, and because sometimes just a small amount or just a taste is enough to turn off the food craving. But make sure that you enjoy that food and it's part of your balanced eating and that you're not restricting yourself too much.